welcome to another episode of the award-winning podcast, The Square and the Round. Chris Kelly, I'm square. There's BB Shea.
That's
He's
me.
Round. We were just talking about the ACC Tournament. It's a little sports heavy.
I know, yeah. It's a lot going on right now. Sports betting's legal now.
Yeah.
Got the ACC Tournament, NCAA Tournament starting soon.
That ACC championship, you were asking me about 1983 when NC State won it. You don't remember it?
No.
I do.
Not around.
I was young when that happened, but that was the greatest. I mean, that run in the ACC Tournament in 1983, because State just won it again, of course. It's similar to this. I mean, it is. They were left for dead in the middle of the season. They came back. They got one player who had been out. He broke his ankle in the middle of the season. And he came back for the end of the year.
Yeah.
And they won games so close, like in overtime and another overtime in the ACC tournament, or they wouldn't have been in the NCAA tournament. And then in their first round, they had to win in double or triple overtime against Pepperdine. This is 83.
Yeah.
And they were the ones. I mean, everybody sort of did the fouling thing, at the end of the game. But State really took it to a new level, and they would foul, and teams would miss, and they kept they called them the cardiac pack, of course, and they went all the way, and they beat teams. They played Houston in the final, and I cannot tell you how much better Houston was than NC State. I cannot even describe to you. Houston was number one in the country. They may have lost one game. I mean, they had Akeem Olajuwon. They had Clyde Drexler. They called him Phi Slamma Jamma because it was like it's unbelievable. You should watch a documentary on that. I mean, it was unreal.
That's weird that you say that, because there's kind of a lot of parallels right now with that year and this year. Yeah. NC State being dead to rights in the ACC championship, overcoming a lot of teams to win it.
Yeah, that Virginia game, they were dead to rights. Yeah,
and now Houston's number one in the nation.
That's right.
I mean, could they make a run?
No.
No shot. No. You're not giving them any shot whatsoever.
I do not give them any chance to make a run.
That's what they said in 83, I bet. I wasn't there.
In 83, nobody even
I was
considered
-9.
them. Nobody considered them that they would do. You're right. And, I mean, it's possible, I suppose, but I wouldn't bet on it.
You wouldn't put money on them.
No, I would not. But they are peaking at the right time, obviously. And they outplayed the Tar Heels the whole game, really.
I mean, they've got wins against Duke. They've got wins against Carolina. They got big wins this year.
They do.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. That 83 team, though, like the coach, Jim Valvano, was just so beloved. And that was really something. That's probably the most magical run of any team I've ever seen.
Probably so, It was to actually then go and win the championship.
Yeah, they won it. I mean, others have done similar. Villanova in 85 did something very similar.
Yeah.
I mean they were huge underdogs.
Take like Butler in 2010.
Yeah.
They lost, but close, that's the thing. State won it, though.
Very, very close. State won it, and Villanova won it. But you know what State and Villanova had way back in the 80s? There was no shot clock. So you could hold the ball. I mean, you could make it like against Houston. Houston was a real run up and down dunk. And State came out and ran with them a little bit and got the lead. And then in the second half, it really slowed down. The final score was like 54-52. So you could do it then.
That's wild to me that there was no shot clock. Like I remember, was it like maybe 10 years ago where they made it shorter? They made it less time on the shot clock, but I don't remember no shot clock.
Yeah, there was until probably 86, 87, no shot clock. And you know what NC State did in that year in 83? The reason they won probably the ACC tournament, they were big-time outside shooters. Yeah. And the three-point line was in the ACC, but not in other conferences. They were like experimenting with it, and it was very short. It was like the line went through the top of the key. It was barely above the free throw line. And so State was just firing them off left and right. You know how what a two-hump grump I am.
Are you anti-three-pointer?
I am still.
Really? Still?
Oh, yeah. I'm anti-three-pointer, and I'm anti-shot clock. I never believed in either.
You think they should go back to no three-pointer and no shot clock?
I do.
You think that would make the game better?
I do. I think it would make it what it was meant to be.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I know you've complained that like Steph Curry, all they do is shoot.
That's why I
threes.
hate him. Yeah.
They shoot. All they do is shoot threes.
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
the NBA.
Which I don't mind a three-pointer, but until he came around, it was properly used. Yeah. You shoot the three when you have the open man. Now people are just chucking it up from wherever, I know. And I think that's my issue with it. Yeah. Is because it's become just so easy and commonplace that the big man's got to shoot.
And I say I don't like the shot clock, but really probably that should be allowed. Yeah. Should be in existence, because now there were games, when I was really a kid, and this is like late 70s, early 80s, you're probably familiar with Dean Smith's four corners.
Yeah.
So there were games against Duke where Carolina was not as good. Or I don't know, they were pretty close. Like ranked like 5th and 8th in the country. But Carolina came out and took the air out of the ball and went to the four corners in the first half. Yeah. And the score at halftime was 4-0.
That's
in fact, I think there was one game where the final score of the game was like 7-3 or something like that. It was very And people were booing, because he did that, because they came to see a game.
But you win the game, you win the game.
Well, right.
Yeah.
And in that game where it was 4-0, it was 4-0 Duke. And then Carolina came out and played them in the second half. The final score was 44-40. Duke won by 4, and the second half was a dead draw. And then later in the season, they played and Carolina beat them, just playing regular. It's like, why do that?
Exactly, yeah.
But I just felt like, I don't know. I also, I'm a big man, so I like and that's been legislated out of the game. There's no more back to the basket big guy.
No post-up game, nothing.
That's too bad. I mean, I think that was an element that should be in the game.
Well, because, back in the day, if you had the big guy, you had a good chance of winning.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't even matter if you have a big guy or not.
Right, of course.
But that's the thing about NC State this year. Like, they've got solid big guys, and they just now started winning, which is kind of weird. But
that one guy is huge.
Humongous.
And yet, what did Jay Billis say about him? He's like a lineman in football with the feet of a ballerina.
Exactly,
and I couldn't believe how he was using Baycott. He was using him.
Broke the ACC tournament record for rebounds in the tournament. So,
all I can do as a Tar Heel fan is tip my cap to NC State.
Absolutely,
I hate State. And before the game, I was like, this is going to be easy, And I didn't care who won between State and Virginia. I was like, Carolina's going to win that.
Absolutely.
I don't care. Now, in retrospect, I wish Virginia had won because Virginia, I don't think, can score enough points to keep up with Carolina.
I don't think so either.
In fact, I feel like after watching that ACC tournament, that Pitt is a better team than Virginia. I do.
You're probably right.
I do.
Yeah.
And Pitt didn't get in. And, of course, with State getting in, they took somebody's spot.
They did. Yeah.
They weren't going to be there otherwise. I enjoyed that tournament, though. That was
I did, too. It was the one in recent memory that was exciting.
I know.
Maybe because that State run. There was so many. It's like really unsure of what was going to happen.
It was pretty, and the final was a good game.
Duke getting knocked out third round in their first play. I mean, that's kind of big, too.
Do you give them a shot in the NCAA? No. I don't either.
No.
I don't think.
As big of a Duke fan as I am, I don't think they're that good. Next year they will be.
Well, yeah.
And I always say that next year I believe they will be good, but this year
they've got the great recruits coming in next year. But then again, a lot of times that doesn't work. Every
few years it does.
They should be really good. You'd think they would be. I don't think Carolina's going to win it either.
I don't think so either. I think the ACC is very can be beaten at any time.
I do too. Yeah. I think UConn is they look tough.
UConn or Houston, somebody like that.
How about Houston getting beat by 28 in their conference championship?
Go figure.
I mean, how does that happen?
And they've remained a number 1 seed.
Yeah. The stunning that they lost so badly. But I'm not filling out a bracket.
Oh, you're not doing that this year?
No, I am not filling out a bracket. I'm not going because I get all keyed up and into it, and I shouldn't. And by the first day, I'm done. I'm no good at it anymore. I'm just not going. But of course, I also said I wasn't going to play fantasy football.
True.
That's
different.
That's what I do. That's right. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah. I'm not succumbing to the pressure of filling out a bracket. You just said. Now, I think basketball was better before the 3-point shot and the. I know I do that all the time. I know on this podcast, I'll say, "Well, it used to be better. It used to be better." Somebody sent me something and said, "You should come up with some things that are better now than they used to be.
Better now than they used to be.
Flip it and say what's better now than it used to be. Like something that's medical."
Sure.
Yeah, I mean that
advancements in technology. I think that's easy to say.
But see, medically, I think social media, for instance, has been bad for us, even though it's a huge advancement in technology.
Sure. Yeah. Well, certain advancements in technology. Right, I mean, like artificial intelligence. Is it good? Is it bad? It still remains to be seen.
Going to run us all out of jobs.
Exactly. Now
so
it seems like it's progressing to the fact where it's going to be bad for us.
Right.
Things that are better now, I would say television. As a whole,
I do like television. There's a lot of good shows on, and you can get it pretty much when you want it.
Call it television if you want to, if they still call it a TV
let's
show.
Call it that. You mean Netflix and all that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's more good television on now than there used to be.
Yeah.
But it used to be. I was talking to my wife about this the other day. Like we were watching Friends, which I watch all the time still, and you'd get kind of excited about there's a new show coming out this year. Oh, it's Friends. There's ER. Like, which one are you going to pick? You know, there was that rotation you had. You had summer reruns, and then all the new shows would come out in the fall and finish up in September and finish up in May. And there was something about that, I don't know, that rotation that I liked.
Yeah.
Now, the problem I have with TV now, even though you're right, there are many better shows.
I would say the content, the quality. Oh, you're right. The quality is better.
You're right.
Yeah.
What I have problems with is, Friends, they're going to give you 30 episodes back then. Now, Stranger Things will give you 8, and then you have to wait 2 years.
2 years to get them all.
That's my problem. There are many shows. I can probably list off 6 or 7 shows. I love Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
It went, a year and a half between seasons. So I watched season 1, loved it. Then watched season 2. Then season 3 comes out. I didn't get to it right away, and people told me it's not that great. I'm not even going to watch it.
Yeah.
I loved
right.
it.
No,
I loved it.
And I think that it takes the wind out of the sails.
Yeah,
because I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I watched the first season of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I had no interest in watching the second season.
You're better off
but
not
it's
to.
a great show. I really enjoyed it.
Well, the first season was great.
Yeah.
And then it goes, I did Mandalorian. There's that great show Barry, which I love.
Yes.
I love it, but it's like out of sight, out of mind. I know it's come back, and I haven't picked it up again.
Yeah.
And there's only one season to go for me.
Are there too many options? Is that the
well,
thing?
maybe there's
maybe
that.
There's too many options.
There's too many options and too much time between seasons.
Yeah.
At least you knew, like when the shows were on in the old days, it was okay. They're done in May, but they're coming back in September.
Yeah.
So you had June, July, and August. You had the summer to be off, and then it's okay. Now we're all on vacation for the summer, and then we come back and we watch these shows.
And I think another issue that I have with TV, especially, is that everybody watches everything, and everybody wants you to watch what they're watching. There's not enough time ever to do that.
Right? Exactly.
And half the time, like I just don't believe when people tell me something's good.
You mentioned that once.
I'm done recommendations.
You don't care about the
Yeah.
recommendation.
No.
What about? I'll tell you something that's better than it used to be. Now I complain about this kind of stuff sometimes because it's like, oh, it's not. I'm too hump grump. But like when you can get something on an app and get your banking done right there on the app, or you don't have to go in there to the store. You don't have to go to it.
Yeah.
And delivery, as much as I think it's kind of a lazy way out. You know, I mean, my wife will say, we want such and such, and within 5 minutes she's ordered it, and 24 hours later it's on my doorstep.
Exactly.
That's a nice thing.
The level of convenience that we have is astonishing.
It is.
Something that I never thought would ever be a thing. Like I remember dreaming about getting McDonald's delivered to me.
Yeah, now
you know what I'm saying? Now that was a thing, and now
do it anytime.
Now I'm like, that was too expensive.
And I mean, on its face, it's good, but now my kids, because of that, become spoiled, lazy, and entitled.
Yeah.
Of course, as what does that say about me as a parent?
I mean, well,
but they don't,
Sometimes things. Well, you got to experience it when it wasn't like that.
I did.
So naturally, you want to know what it's about too. But they don't know any better.
No, they don't. And it is good. It really. I mean, it's very convenient. But it wasn't like we were out busting rocks because we had to run to McDonald's and go through the drive-thru, and go through the drive-thru.
But that's all you knew, and that's just how things got done.
And they're saying now they're just opened that new the first Chick-fil-A in New York. I don't know did you hear about this? Where you just there's a Chick-fil-A in New York. Now, it's big city. But you go, it's open. There's no cash register. There's no nothing. There's just a cook and the grill, and there's one person in there. You order online on the app. You pay on the app, always. You walk in. There's a big board that says either it's being prepared or it's done. If it's done, you walk up and say, BB Shea. They say, BB Shea, here's your order. That's all there is to it. It's a pretty good idea.
It's a pretty good idea. Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
people are still being employed. I guess you still need cooks in there.
We need one cook and one guy.
I guess less people.
Yeah,
though.
That's
weird.
And by the way, the size of the whole Chick-fil-A is 400 square feet. That's like the room we're in.
But this room right now,
it's like one big counter, and then back in the kitchen.
And the line's still going to be long.
Well, I don't know. I don't.
I mean, depending on how fast they're churning stuff
but
out.
you walk in, there is no line. You just look up on the board, and when yours is ready, you walk up there and get it. That's all there is to it. It's. I think they would do that. Like we're not in a big city. I think they could do it, but then they would have to have like 3 drive-through lanes and a walk-up, in order for us, because we stay in our cars now. I don't know.
Now, I know you don't like food, but has food gotten better, do you think? Like the taste and quality of it?
No, I think it's gotten worse.
You think so?
I do. Well, I'm not sure. That's a good question, because I think McDonald's has gotten better because they have fresh ground beef on their on their quarter pounders. But I feel like you're getting less food when you pay as much, that shrinkflation thing.
You're right.
And I feel like the taste is either the same or more bland. Maybe my taste buds are dying.
Maybe.
Do you think it's getting better? Do you think
you're killing them.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah, that's a weird thing, man. I don't think I'm like old enough to really register.
Yeah.
Like maybe in like 20 years or something I'll be able to say. But everything's just kind of been how it is for me.
I don't think that. I mean,
I feel like there were better options back in the day.
You think?
I think so. But I don't know.
There's tough. More restaurants though. I mean, there's 30 years there's no Starbucks around, and so you have more options, and also I will say this, because of I guess a lot of fast food takes over, and you get all of a sudden people worried about their health or whatever, so you get more options, things like a gourmet pizza place or a salad place or these burrito places like Chipotle.
For sure. Yeah.
You know, they've come along. They used to not be around. So maybe that's gotten better.
Yeah, maybe the options maybe like it's like TV. As the quality gotten better, maybe the options are definitely there.
There's a lot more. There's a lot more options. The Wi-Fi speeds and things like that have certainly gotten way better.
100%. Yeah.
And you're my wife did this, and I thought this was impressive. We're both wearing glasses here.
Yeah.
She has prescription glasses, and recently she got some new ones, and she went online to look at the frames she wanted, and they sent her 5 already done, and you just send 4 back. And so she put them on. She found the one she liked. She sent the other 4 back. It's like,
that's a thing.
That's a thing. She said, which one of these glasses you like, and she had all 5 of them in a box.
Yeah.
And we both chose the same one. She picked them. She sent the other 4 back. And it's like...
So she didn't have to wait for them. She just got those there.
There they were. She kept them, and she sent the other 4 back. And if she had wanted to, they said, we'll send you another. If you don't like any of these, we'll send you 5 more. Pick 5 more, and we'll send you those. It's unbelievable the way things are done through the mail now.
See, that's like doing taxes by yourself. I don't know why that's just...
Yeah, you want to be in there with the doctor.
I need somebody there to guide me, to be like,
Yeah, I know. I agree.
There's some things I don't want to take responsibility for.
She's getting ready to try and do our taxes through TurboTax. And I said, I don't know about that.
I don't know. I'd rather have a person do that for me.
I might want to pay a little money to
I've got a lady that's been doing it my entire working life, and she's never failed me yet. So.
How about you? A video game graphics?
Sort of. Yeah, that's definitely something that's gotten
better.
Insanely better.
I mean, they're so good.
God.
At some point, I told you, when Atari was out, I said it'll never get better than this. Then it became Nintendo, the Tecmo Bowl, and I said it'll never get better than this, which it really hasn't. But the graphics.
Well, see, I remember being in elementary school, and we used to have book fairs, and they would give us those video game magazines, and like the PlayStation 2 would come out, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, dude, you can see their fingers, like their you can make out their fingers," and now it's like. That was terrible. That was like reading off of a stone. And
my son was playing NBA 2K or whatever it is, the NBA game 5 years ago. I walked into the basement where he was playing, and I thought he was watching a game. I did. I was like, "Who's playing? What are you watching?" And he's like, "No, I'm playing." And it was Lakers and Warriors. And I was like, "What?" It's that good. The graphics are unbelievable. All that, and everything, of course, gets small and put on the phone. It's good.
I have a concept that I want to run by you. This is switching gears tremendously.
Sure, yeah.
This is something that I've thought of for a long time that I've tried to present to people, but I just don't think I present it right. I think, tell me what you think about this, just off rip. I think that prison could be fun.
Well, I think, does it depend on the prison?
No, not necessarily.
So you think, how can you make prison fun?
I think prison could and should be fun.
How?
Now, I do believe that prison is a place where...
Well, it shouldn't be fun.
Right? Could be. Right, yeah. I feel like that's a place where people go to... be rehabilitated.
Right.
But I don't understand, after all of the years of the United States or world prison systems, why there haven't been leaders in the jail to go, you know what, guys? Why do we have to deal with all this stress every day?
This is not working for me.
Yeah, exactly. You take the big gang leaders to have like a sit down meeting.
Yeah.
And they say, you know what? Let's just chill.
Yeah.
I wish. Let's stop with all the intimidation.
Well, that would be nice.
Let's stop with all the fighting.
Yeah.
Let's stop with all the messing around with each other. Let's just enjoy our time here together.
We should, but
don't you think that could potentially be a thing?
I always think that should be a thing. Yeah. I think in the whole world, we were just talking about Vladimir Putin winning the election.
Yeah.
I think there should be no people. If he would just chill,
exactly,
and just be like, let's. But the way our DNA is, and I think especially with men, it's always about power. It's always about owning something. There's men get in so many fights, especially drunk or what, because it's all about you can't.
There you go. Yeah,
it's like, God, just take a break. And yes, in prison, if they would just say, all right, everybody just be equal and let's not fight and let's say we're going to get through this together.
And now prison being a place where people are for an extended period of time, that's not in the outside world.
Yes.
Like, okay, if you want to be the head guy, I will acknowledge that you're the head guy. I will let you be that guy, but I need you to communicate to everybody else that we're done with all this negativity and fighting and stuff. And I need you to hold us to a standard and have some checks and balances here.
Yeah, but you are talking about prisoners.
No, I know.
So the guy in charge.
I know that's the thing, but I'm just saying.
Plus, there's never any trust, so that guy could be double-crossing you behind your back.
There needs to be some charismatic figure to be in there and just be like, hey, and I know I probably sound stupid and
I don't think
ignorant
it
for
can
saying
ever happen
that,
because it's just the way people are. Somebody corrupt will get in as the gang leader or whatever, and they'll keep it going. That's and our just the way we're built.
Like, this is already a bad place. Why do we have to continue the madness in here?
I agree.
Let's just hang out.
I thought you were going to say like it could be made fun like on your own. Like I'm going to get up and really have a positive attitude every day. Just as a one person, like I'm going to pretend this is instead of the gruel that I'm eating, I'm going to pretend I'm out on in France eating at a cafe or something.
Well, you could do that too, but I think it takes the whole community to really have that turnaround.
I've probably told you. I think prison do great things for your health if you want it to. And here's how I mean: you go. First of all, you're not going to like the food. So you're not going to eat very much.
Sure,
and just eat just try to eat around, eat the vegetables and the lean meats. And then go and certainly you're going to lift a lot of weights. And I mean, you can go in the yard and really make. I think if you went into prison,
me personally,
2 years, you come out looking svelte. I think so.
Point. Yeah.
But I've heard other people tell me that's not really true because the meals are full of poor nutrition. Yeah. But what you have to do is get out in the yard and walk and lift weights, And
if I just eliminate all the external factors and just dedicate my life to that, like this, if I'm in prison, that's all I have to do.
Right, that's all you have to do.
Is to work out.
You're not going to be tempted by Zaxby's or whatever.
Or
pizza.
Working a job. You know what I'm saying?
You're not going to be tempted by all of that. All you do is work on yourself. You do your pull-ups. You go out and lift your weights. So I've always said you should really be in great shape. If you do a 3-year stretch, you could come. Yes, you're going to have a tough time. You should come out in great shape.
So is prison the best workout regimen that you can think of? The best health regimen?
I think so. Because that's where you, that's like you just said, that's all you have time to do. There's so many distractions out in the real world that so many pitfalls where you could eat cookies and not go to the gym. Yeah. I mean, prison, what else are you going to do? You got to do something. You might as well go to the gym.
Maybe I'll go to prison.
Well, I mean, I'm saying. I think it really works.
Maybe that's the thing I need to do.
I think it really
works.
If
I really want to get it together, maybe I should go to prison.
Now, early on, I would avoid a lot of the hardened criminals, especially in the shower.
Yeah.
That's a place.
Well, that's just something I'm going to have to deal with,
Yeah.
There's going to be struggles with weight loss regardless.
God, that is going to, that is going to be a struggle for sure. Our top 5 this week. Now, it's sports heavy.
Yeah.
But I like this one. I like this a lot.
One, yes.
I had a hard time coming up with this. It's the worst 5 sports nicknames. For instance, one of mine is the Utah Jazz.
Yeah.
I didn't put them in any particular order.
Yeah.
I hate Jazz for a team in Utah because, originally they're from New Orleans, which was fine, but it has nothing to do with Utah, and they kept it. And so I don't like Utah Jazz. Plus, I just don't like Jazz as a nickname. It doesn't really scare anybody.
Yeah, and see, no, that was actually my number 1.
Is it your number 1?
Yeah, my Utah Jazz was number 1.
That's the worst sports nickname.
I tried to take several different things into consideration. One, intimidation.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're participating in a sport, it's got to be some. I want to be scared of your name.
Right.
Number 2. If it's got it kind of has to have some tie-in with the geography or where it's located, And you said Utah Jazz, nothing.
Well, agreed, but the Lakers are Minnesota.
Minneapolis Lakers.
Because there's so many lakes, but I do love the sound of LA Lakers.
Alliteration's another one.
That works.
If it's alliteration, if it's an inanimate object, I don't want any part of it.
You don't want it.
If it's an inanimate object, I don't want to like the
Heat.
Or the Jazz. It's an inanimate object.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Or something that's just nonsensical. It doesn't make any sense.
So you've got the Jazz as your worst.
That was my number 1.
I didn't even put them in an order. How do you feel about the Kraken?
I like the Kraken because I feel like I don't know how long in literature it's been around, but it's a scary figure. That's an intimidating figure to me.
Also found it to be unique.
Nobody
else
has
ever
come. Yeah.
Like I like Tigers fine, but so many of them. There's so many college teams that are the Tigers.
And see, I was going to take something like the Red Sox or the White Sox, but there are multiple teams with that same type of identity.
I really like those because they're original. They end in X, which I really like.
Yeah.
I find the logos to be nice.
And some originality and longevity, I think, has to have some play in it as well for it to be good.
Well, what's your go 5-1 and what's number 5?
Number 5 for me is the Cleveland Browns.
That's a terrible name.
It's a terrible name, and I know that it's based on a person.
Yeah, it is.
Paul Brown, but still.
Yeah.
It sounds dirty.
Yeah.
It sounds nasty.
Paul Brown. Also, the helmets are bad.
Yes.
Really,
there's no identity to the team.
But Paul Brown, I don't know if you know this, he got into, and I think he was the longtime coach of the Browns, big time Brown, of course. His name's Paul Brown. And so I guess his family owned it or something. Somehow, I guess the team was sold, and he got into a huge fight with the new owner. So he went and started a team. He started the Bengals in Cincinnati.
Yeah, okay.
And that's why the Bengals uniforms are so similar to the Browns. He wanted to make them look exactly like the Browns, take their identity, and beat them. And within like 2 or 3 seasons, he had beaten the Browns, which was a big deal. And
even after all that, they still maintained the name of the Browns.
Browns, yeah, because the family, I guess, owned them. I think. I don't know the history of the Browns. It's a terrible name. It's terrible. But now there is some uniqueness to it because it's named for a person.
Sure, but that's not intimidating to me. I mean, like, I get the legacy part of it, but have something a little bit more creative.
You know what I hate? It's on my list. I didn't even put them in order. But and it has alliteration, which I like, but I hate the Washington Wizards. I hate that name. Do you like that?
See, I like that. It rolls off the tongue good.
I never liked it because I hated the colors when they first started. I remember when they changed. It used to be the Washington Bullets.
Yeah, that's tough.
The Bullets?
Yes.
I thought it was
like
great.
that.
I loved it.
What a great name.
So stupid. That was the first. I mean, you know how politically correct everything is now. When they first said, this was like 96 or 7,
something
whenever.
Like that,
and so they changed the name from Bullets, and I was just like, why?
Yeah.
I mean, has that done any? How have shootings gone since they've changed? Is that why we have so few shootings today? Because the Washington Wizards are now the Wizards instead of the Bullets. Yeah, we'd hate to promote violence on our streets, you know. And yet, I mean, that was a great nickname. Yeah. The Bullets.
They're probably mad now. There's probably more shootings because they're mad that their team's named after something so wimpy.
They're awful.
Yeah. Now, Wizard can be, you know, intimidating.
It's all right.
To some people.
It's all right.
But the alliteration, I think that really plays into it.
I don't like Washington Nationals either.
I don't either.
Because it's, to me, you had your choices. That was a new team 15, 20 years ago. And that was, you had your choice to really do something cool, and you just went with Nationals.
Why is it always the teams out of D.C. that are getting their names changed?
I know. I don't understand it.
That's
all 3 teams.
Yeah.
The Nationals went away. They were the Senators. They went away. They came back. Then it was, of course, the Commanders.
Yeah.
I hate the name Commanders.
Yeah, I'm not against it. I think they could have done something a lot better.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
And you know, I understand why they chose to go away from Redskins. Yeah. But I really believe for 98% of this country, what Redskins means is the football team. That's
exactly. Yes, they don't think about it in a negative connotation.
No, I can't really argue that you shouldn't have changed it, but I felt like the world would have gone on if they didn't.
Yeah.
You know, I just didn't. I think, you know, and it had been that way for 100 years, and yet people got all of a sudden upset by it. And it's like, you know, I don't know. And of course, the rising tide, the advertising, you had to change it. I didn't mind Cleveland Indians.
I didn't mind it either.
I loved it, actually. I mean, I love the name. Now it's,
the Guardians, which is...
I don't love that name.
Eventually it'll be part of the lexicon, I guess, but we'll get over it eventually.
What's your number 4?
Number 4 is the New Orleans Pelicans.
Oh, you don't like the Pelicans?
I don't like the Pelicans.
Oh, I do.
I think the Pelicans are a wimpy bird. I don't know what they have.
I love a pelican.
I don't know.
I love a pelican.
I'll punch a pelican.
My favorite bird is a pelican.
Really?
Yes, because when I'm on the beach and I see them swoop out, I love the look of that bird.
I don't know what they have to do with New Orleans.
I think it's the state bird of Louisiana.
Is it?
Well, because they live in the swamps, in the what do they call it? There's a major.
I'm gonna need a fact check.
The wetlands of. I think that's true. In the wetlands, they have a lot of pelicans.
Okay, well, if the pelicans are the state bird of Louisiana,
I don't know that, but there's a lot of pelicans in the southern area of Louisiana.
I don't know. It's just a weird wimpy name to me.
Do you know what's fantastic about an actual pelican is? When they dive, you may not know this, you see them dive bomb into the water and scoop up a fish in their gills, right?
Yeah.
The bottom of their big beak is, I say gills, they don't have gills. The bottom of their big beak is perforated so the water drains out.
Oh.
How about that? Yeah. So they swoop down into their big jaw, they get 2 or 3 fish or whatever. In order to get rid of the water without getting rid of the fish, it just drains out.
So the fish die like a slow death in their
swallow
mouth.
The fish. And they swallow because
I did not know
water
that.
drains as they fly, and then they swallow. Is that amazing?
How'd you learn that?
I don't know how. Did I see that on?
You been watching National Geographic?
Might have been on on Nat Geo. That's a real possibility. And then the movie Pelican Brief is terrible, but I love it.
Does that have anything to do with pelicans?
Yes, it does. It does. Yes, it does.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Because it's set in Louisiana, or it's a big deal.
Maybe I need to change that.
Well,
one.
I can understand it, though. It's not a very intimidating.
It's weird. It's a weird choice to me. But anyway,
yeah, it is. Who do you have at 3?
I have the Houston Texans.
Terrible name. Terrible.
I feel like it's extremely lazy.
I do too. They could come up with something way better.
There's
than
things like the
Montreal Canadiens.
Montreal Canadiens, the Houston Texans, the Philadelphia Phillies, where the Philadelphia Phillies have the alliteration going for them.
And the Canadiens now, it's so old. It's
exactly.
But now Texans.
I just don't.
They had a shot. Yeah,
it's like the North Carolinians. Like it's just weird to me.
But I guess they're so trying to show pride in the Houston Oilers is a much better name.
True,
much better.
Or what were the Houston Gamblers or something like that? Isn't that a USFL team? Yeah.
Usually, what do you think about Rockets?
I don't mind the Rockets.
I like Rockets
because it kind of makes sense.
And I like Astros.
NASA's there, you know what I mean?
Astros is good, but you're right about Texans. I like their logo.
Yeah, it's cool, but
they could have done much.
It really makes no
better
sense to me. So
I don't like the Minnesota Wild. Mm-hmm. That's a hockey team. Because it's like,
what is that actually?
I don't know.
What is it?
Wild? I don't know. I don't like the Miami Heat. I don't like those kinds of things.
Okay,
and I don't like the Tampa Bay Rays. Because I think Devil Rays is cooler than Rays.
It really is. I don't know why they changed that.
I don't either. Well, it might have been a thing where they wanted to eliminate the devil.
After Steve Irwin died, maybe they had to change it.
I don't know why they. Yeah. But I like teams. The Duke Blue Devils, I think, is a cool.
That's tough. Yeah.
I think that's a cool name. What else do you have?
The Kansas City Royals.
Oh, you like the Royals?
I had the Kansas City Royals, and it's kind of the same. I almost put the Sacramento Kings here.
Yeah, I put the Kings. I don't like the Kings. I don't like that name.
I don't mind it for L.A. Yeah. I mind it for Sacramento.
Yes.
There's nothing royalty. There's nothing king-like in Kansas City.
Do you know they used to be the Kansas City Kings?
I did not know that.
They moved to Sacramento from Kansas City, and they had alliteration going, so you had the Kings and the Royals.
Kansas City Kings. Gotcha. Okay, so
they shared
where that would make sense, and then the alliteration there. The Sacramento Kings, that's just not. Yeah. Something else could have been there. I don't know what.
But it's interesting that the city had Kansas City Kings, Kansas City Royals, and then came along with the Kansas City Chiefs, which is completely outside.
Exactly.
That. And why aren't they changing their name?
I don't know. Why isn't Florida State changing their name?
Or the Braves.
Or the Chicago Blackhawks.
Or the Atlanta Braves.
Don't know.
It's very very
where
ambiguous.
We pick and choose, I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know.
And how about this? Marquette used to be the Marquette Warriors and changed to the Golden Eagles. And fans were outraged. I don't know if you remember. I don't know if you knew this. But
I feel like
this is about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so Marquette used to be, all growing up, they were the Warriors. Mm-hmm. And, they were good basketball. They're good again.
Yeah.
But they changed to Golden Eagles. And when they put out an online thing about, what would you change it to, of course, everybody just came back Warriors.
The Warriors,
they came back. Yeah. But they changed it. Of course, they were forced to. And or they did because of political reasons. But the Golden State Warriors are just fine.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's very strange.
I don't understand it, dude.
I heard people say Washington should go to be the Washington Warriors, which had good alliteration. But I don't think they wanted to fool. They wanted to get something that they would never have to change.
Even in 20 years, how are you going to cancel the Commanders?
Well, yeah. Would you have been upset had Washington just stayed with the Washington Football Club, which is a different, it's totally different for them.
I would have. That's too soccer-like to me.
It's very soccer, which I hate. Yeah. I don't like. I don't mind soccer, but I don't like the way they do that, like FC United,
the football
or
club, whatever. Yeah.
But if Washington had been the only team to do it, it would have set them apart.
That would have been funny.
I kind of, because they were that for 2 years, and everybody just called them the Washington, the team, or the Washington Football Club. I was like, that's kind of interesting if they just stick with that.
Yeah.
And then they went Commanders, and I think almost whatever they picked would have been after the fact.
I don't know. There were some cool options like the Red Tails.
I like that a lot better.
The Red Tails were cool, or like the Red Hogs or something like that.
Red Hawks, too.
Yeah, Red Hawks would have been cool.
I think they should have kept red in there. That would have been better.
I agree.
Do you have any more that you hate?
No, that was it. That was it for me. Yeah.
That was it for me, too. But if you get into college and stuff, there's so many that you could really get rid of.
Even like minor league teams, I know, like the Savannah Bananas, even though it kind of rhymes, is kind of cool.
I kind of like that. Yeah. What did I see? Omaha Beef. I just saw the Omaha Beef. That's a arena football league team. The Omaha Beef I like. I think that's good.
Cool. That's
I like things like that, the Sand Gnats.
Yeah.
I think those are pretty cool names.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be hard to say the top 5 best minor league baseball names because there's a lot of good ones there. Interesting. They're more interesting than the pros.
I agree because there's so many of them. You got to stand out.
And they change them about every 15 years to sell more merchandise.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the whole reason for that. This was tremendous. Now, sports heavy, but tremendous.
Well, I mean, we were off sports for a few weeks, so we're kind of back into it.
I'm not filling out a bracket. I refuse to fill out a bracket.
I feel like you'll have one filled out by the end of the week.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
Maybe by next week I'll have seen that movie Saltburn. So that's my next.
Is that your next thing?
Yeah, I felt like after I watched all those Academy Award-winning movies that I should see Saltburn because I hear how disgusting it is and everybody talks about it.
Your life's not going to be enriched by it whatsoever.
No, but
if you want to be weirded out, sure, watch it.
Okay, maybe I will.
Yeah.
That's it for the Square in the Round this week. Tremendous episode. No wonder it wins awards. Back again next week. Thanks for listening.